everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video where I thought we might do something a little bit different. As you've seen, we've been picked and packed a couple of orders here for both Pimp My Soap and for Soy and Shea as well, and I thought while I was doing it I would come on here and give you a few tips and tricks about how you can save money, particularly for those in Australia using the My Business Australia Post website when you are sending your orders out. I've seen lots of videos and comments out there, especially recently, about the cost of postage. It is something that businesses just cannot avoid when you are shipping things out. And I've also seen a lot of small businesses who are putting out videos that complain about the administration fees that they keep getting for misrepresented parcels that they are sending out. And honestly, I scroll through those videos because it really is the business's fault. They are so easy to avoid these extra postal charges that so many companies complain about. So today I thought I'd take you along, show you how you can actually reduce the cost of sending some of your parcels out with the My Business Post website, and how to avoid those administration fees that Australia Post do send out if you do not declare your postage correctly. So let's get into it. So my number one tip for Australians that have a small business that do shipping is to sign up for a My Business Australia Post account. It doesn't cost you anything to do, but what it does mean is that you do get discounted shipping rates. It's all based upon the volume that you are sending out in a 4-week and a yearly basis, and you go onto different bands, and it does give you discounts. Also gives you discounts to people if you are shipping a certain zone of where you live. So if I'm shipping a parcel that is literally going 4 or 5 streets across from me, it will actually give me a cheaper rate than if I was shipping it down to somewhere in another state. So that is my number one tip. Go and join up and create a My Post business account. Free to do, easy to do as well. Once you've got that, what you want to do is start ordering these blank satchels, and you can go and pick these up from most post offices, and you can also order them online. I buy them in a box of 100, and currently a box of 100 of these are $15, so they're 15 cents each, and that actually does get deducted off the cost of the postage that you pay through the My Post website. One of the drawbacks of using these satchels is that they are plastic, and it is very heavily frowned upon at the moment to be using plastic, and there is a push to go biodegradable or completely plastic free. However, the reason I have not made that change is because doing it that way, the same with anything that is environmentally friendly, there is a huge cost involved. And unfortunately, when it comes to business, although everyone wants environmentally friendly and they push businesses to go environmentally friendly, when it comes time to pulling that purse out the hip pocket, very few people will actually do it. To give you an example of why I continue to use these plastic satchels from Australia Post, this is the small satchel, and they have a slogan that goes with them that if it fits, you can ship it up to 5 kilos. So I can actually technically send 4.999 kilos worth of stuff in this satchel here, send it off, and it's going to only cost me the price of a small satchel. Now currently, as of the 21st of June, when I am filming this, the current rate to send this without any of the discounts that you get through My Post would be $9.70. Now if I was to put this into a biodegradable bag and then put the measurements into the system, and this weighs just over a kilo, it would actually push me up into the next bracket, which is $13.25. That's a $3.55 difference in postage. And when I offer a flat rate shipping on my website, I can't cover that extra $3.55 it costs me to send the parcel, and that is on top of actually buying the biodegradable bag as well, which is not taken into consideration. So on the Australia Post, it costs $9.70, but they do take away that 15 cents that you've already paid for the satchel, so that automatically gets taken off. If I was to use a biodegradable bag, it doesn't take that into consideration, and those bags often cost twice if not 3 times the amount of what these satchels do. Until people are actually prepared to pay for the environmentally friendly options, unfortunately, I will continue to use these plastic mailers. I have done an experiment on my website in the past whereby I had the flat rate shipping, which came in all of these mailers, and then I had another version which was an environmentally friendly plastic free option of shipping, so either using the biodegradable bags or taking the bag off and just sending it as a cardboard box. And I entered it in at the shipping rates that you would have to pay per the weight and size of the box, and not a single person took me up on that offer, and all went for the cheap shipping rate because no one will want to pay for that environmentally friendly option. So until people are prepared to pay it, I'm going to continue using these satchels. And that is my first, apart from joining up for the My Post website, that is my first way of saving money, is using these flat rate satchels to keep my postage costs down. Now, I'd like to think that Australia Post will get on board in the not too distant future and start either offering biodegradable bags as an option as part of their flat rate shipping, or get in touch with one of our awesome companies that are already out there providing the bags and work out a standard flat rate shipping thing to go with the bags that are already available out there. In the meantime though, for those of you that do use the biodegradable bags, or maybe you've even got a parcel that doesn't fit into one of the satchels and you need to use another courier bag, I want to show you some ways that you can make sure that you don't end up with any administration charges for not declaring the right dimensions and weight on your packaging. It is so simple to avoid them. So for those of you that don't know, when you are putting your information into the Australia Post website, you are required, if you're using your own packaging, to put in the dimensions. So we're going to be looking at the width, height and the depth of the box, and also the weight, and then it comes up with what your shipping price should be. Now, if you do get these dimensions wrong and it passes through the machines through Australia Post and it detects that it is incorrect, whether it's underweight, overweight, the wrong size, Australia Post will issue a fee, and it generally consists of an administration fee, and then you have to pay for the extra postage as well. And sometimes these fees can be quite costly and pushes the cost of postage up astronomically. But like I said, they are so easy to avoid. Now, I at the moment don't have any that I have got in my own packaging, but I am going to use one that I have got packaged up here just to show you what I typically do when I have got something in my own packaging. So pretend this is either a biodegradable bag or a plain courier satchel, whatever it is that you prefer to use. The first thing we need to do is actually weigh it. Whenever I weigh anything, whether it's shipping or ingredients or anything else, I like to use scales which are connected to the mains power. The reason being is that when you're using battery operated scales, as the batteries start to die out, the weight that you get registered can be incorrect. So I like to use the scales which are connected to the mains power, and I do have links in all of my videos to where I buy these scales from. Next thing you want to do is make sure that you are tared out to 0 before actually putting your parcel on the top. Now you can see, I think I'll turn the light off. There it is. You can see this one weighs 781 grams, and that is not the weight I will put into Australia Post. I will actually more than likely, if I had to do it, round this up to 800 grams, which will give me an almost 20 gram allowance in case the scales are off, or maybe I've got something resting on the scales where I can't see it. It also means that when I actually put my shipping label on the top here, this one isn't the shipping label, but it's about the same weight. You can see this has gone up to 786 now. So your shipping label is going to add a little bit of weight on here. I'm also going to tape my ears in so that when it goes through the machines, it doesn't get torn. So that's going to push this closer to the 800 grams. If I actually put that into the system at 781, and this actually, once I've got it all packaged up, comes up to being, say, 800 grams, the machine is going to stop it and it's going to check it. Now, even if you've got the correct postage amount on here, the fact that the machine has had to stop it and someone has had to check it, you are going to get an administration charge. So I always just put in a little bit extra weight on top of what is on here. Now, in a majority of cases, adding the little bit of extra weight into the Australia Post page is not going to change your postal rate. So, for example, changing this from 700 grams to 800 grams, it is still going to be registered as a parcel that is under 1 kilo. The only time it's actually really going to affect how much extra postage you pay is if, for example, this is 990 grams and you list it at 1 kilo and 10 grams, then it's going to bump you up into the next bracket. And that is because Australia Post have these band brackets. So we go from 0 to 1 kilo, 1 kilo to 3 kilos, and then 3 kilos to 5 kilos. So when you're really, really close to that sort of bracket between the postage rates, that is when it can actually really negatively affect you. And this particularly happens if this parcel does weigh, say, 990 grams, and you pop it through in your system, you add your sticky tape, and all of a sudden this is over 1 kilo. That is when it's going to get pulled up by the Australia Post scanning machines. You're going to get the administration bill and the extra $3.55 that you should have paid to send it. So it's always a good idea when you are on the Australia Post My Post app, just put in the weights to see how it is affecting your postage. And as I say, in most cases, it is not going to affect it. The other thing that will affect your postage rate, because it's not just based off of the physical weight, it is based upon the actual dimensional weight as well, or the cubic weight they call it. So that is your length times breadth by depth, and that's how much volume this can actually potentially hold. So there is a little bit of a trick I use when I am measuring my parcels to make sure that I don't get those administration charges or when it gets pulled up. So I'll show you how I do that one. So let's again pretend that this is either a biodegradable bag, a plain courier satchel, or maybe it is just a plain cardboard box as well. What I do is I grab myself a tape measure and I go straight across the middle here. And this box is a smidge over 25 centimeters. It's 25.2. Now, because it is over 25, I'm actually going to take this up and tell the system it is 25.5. And the other reason for doing that is that although the top of this box is 25 centimeters, it may be bulging out at the sides here. You never really know, you know, the way you've packaged it, it may have just pushed it out. Maybe this is closer to 26 centimeters, and that's going to change your cubic weight if you're not careful. So I always take my measurement up by half a centimeter, if not a full centimeter, and I do the same going this way and this way as well. And because I actually tie a ribbon knot on the top of my parcels, although I am measuring, say, the height of this box, so that's 9 centimeters, but it doesn't take into account this little knot on the top of my box, which actually does add a little bit of height. So I always add that 0.5 or 1 centimeter to the top here. And again, if this is a smallish box, it doesn't really affect the actual shipping costs. You can try it yourself. You go into the My Post website, pick some random numbers, maybe put in a box that's 24 by 6 by 10, and then change it to say that it's 25 by 6 by 10, and you'll find it actually doesn't change the amount of postage that you need to pay. However, the machine detects that there is an issue, and that means a human has to come along and double check the parcel to make sure that you are paying the correct amount of postage. Now, it could be that you are sending this box and it should have been $13.25 to send it, but the computer has detected that your width and length of the box was slightly off. Someone comes along, checks it, and it still falls in that $13.25 postal bracket, but we have to pay someone to have actually checked it. So it is just best to overestimate. You don't have to do it by 5 and 10 centimeters. I have found just by overestimating by half a centimeter to a centimeter on all my parcels, adding on an extra 20 grams onto the weight of my parcels, I have not once been caught out with having misrepresented postal boxes that are going out there. The other thing is, don't rely on the fact that your manufacturer of these boxes have told you that this is 25 centimeters long. Because of the way that boxes are cut with big machines, often layered on top of each other, the top box may actually be 25 centimeters, but as the blade goes down and it all gets compressed, sometimes the blade actually goes down at an angle, and that box on the bottom may actually be closer to 25.5 centimeters than 25, and that half a centimeter can make a little bit of a difference to things like this. So they're my tips for any Australian business who has an online store and you are sending things out. First up, head over to the Australia Post website and sign up for a My Business Post account. Not the e-parcel one, but the My Business Post account. As I said, it doesn't cost you anything, free to join, and you can just have a look to see what sort of postage rates you're going to get. Now, I'm not sponsored by Australia Post. I get absolutely nothing out of this. I just want to make sure that other fellow Australians are getting the absolute best they can when it comes to postage, because it is a huge expense as a business. My next tip after that is to go and invest in the Australia Post satchels. They are going to save you money unless your customers are prepared to pay that extra to have the environmentally friendly options sent out. These are going to be the best way of doing them. They sell them in a small, medium, large and extra large, and to be honest, I've only ever bought the small and medium. I have had the large and I very rarely use them because I found that the large didn't fit my large boxes, and sending my large boxes in a courier satchel cost me the same amount as money as using their large satchels. So I basically just buy the small and medium, and then my larger boxes I send in standard courier satchels using that whole method of weighing and measuring, and it costs me exactly the same as using their satchels, but the box is fitting to my satchels. And then after that, my final tip is, if you are not using these satchels, make sure that when you are entering the details into the My Post, that you are giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room as well. So add that little bit of extra weight, add that little bit extra dimension. You can see on the screen, as soon as you start changing weight and dimensions, you can see whether it's going to affect your postal rate or not. And in a majority of cases, as I said, it is not going to affect the amount of posts that you need to send, but it will limit the chance that your parcel is going to get stopped and be inspected, and you're not going to get those administration fees. So I hope this video has helped those of you who do use Australia Post to send your parcels. I hope you've found it handy and that it's going to start saving you a little bit of money. If you've enjoyed watching the video, why not leave a thumbs up? Any questions down below, because all that interaction really does help get the video out so we can help more Aussies save money on their shipping. Until the next video comes out, I hope you have a great one, and I will see you then. Bye.